We're not going to sit and gossip about people we don't even know. We're not going to do that. It's not productive and it gets us nowhere. Why? Because opinions are like noses. Everybody has one. The slap heard around the world. Let's talk about it. Welcome, I'm Reverend Valerie Love, and I'm sure if you're not aware yet, there was a slap heard around the world. And in this conversation, we're going to unpack it from the spiritual perspective with a very powerful two-dimensional way of looking at it. Now, there are many ways to unpack this experience. And before we go any deeper into it, if you're watching this video and you're not sure what we're referring to, or just to catch you up, we are referring to the 94th Oscars, and in which Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair and her experience that she is currently having of having a hair condition and shaved her head. And Will Smith reciprocated with a slap. He walked up to the stage and slapped Chris Rock. And returned to the stage, returned his seat at the Oscars, and then yelled at Chris Rock to keep my wife's name out of your MFing mouth. And when Chris Rock still came with another retort, again, Will Smith reiterated, keep my wife's name out of your MFing mouth. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. So there's been a lot of discussion about this all over the internet. The memes started flying immediately. And here, because this is a spirituality channel and I get to serve the ascension of humanity, we're going to talk about this very powerful two-dimensional way of looking at this experience. So what this conversation will not be about is whether Will Smith was right or wrong, whether Chris Rock was right or wrong, or whether Jada Pinkett Smith was right or wrong. This conversation also is not about projection and or looking at anything outside yourself as separate from yourself. So this is the way we're going to look at this from a these two dimensions that we're going to take into consideration in this conversation. And why? Why are we talking about this? What is the intention here? The intention is for us to use everything we see before us as a ladder, as a means of ascension and transformation, so that we ourselves do not have to experience all the travails of life. You know, you can look at other people and you can take lessons from it. There is a Course in Miracles lesson that says, all things are lessons God would have me learn. God is not as in a person in the sky. God is in love. God is love, this whole universe, that there's something this universe desires me to learn, to grow through, to become. We're in a great becoming. So here are the two ways to look at it. The bottom, we're going to draw a line right in the middle. Here's a line. Bottom way of looking at it will be the story. That's what we'll call it, the story. The story is what had happened was Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. OMG, Chris Rock made a joke about Jada. OMG, Jada is having an experience right now. So it could be a very painful experience. Oh my goodness, this happened at the Oscars. Did you see The Rock, Dwayne Wade's face? OMG, look at Lupita's eyes, couldn't believe it. Denzel said, when you go to a new level, new devil, watch out. That's all the story. Now, the story happens outside of oneself. Once again, we're using this as means of ascension, as a means of transformation, so that you can solve the issues in your life and not look at other people. This is an opportunity. This is a growth opportunity for all of us, for the world, since it played out on a global stage. Now, that's below the line. Above the line, where there is ascension, where there is a going up in one's consciousness, where there is elevation, In this paradigm, way of looking at it, we are very aware of what we are seeing. And why do we want to become aware of our seeing? Because our seeing, otherwise known as our perception, is coming from within our own mind. So let's have an example. I look at it and I see, oh my goodness, this person is hurt. Aha! That means I have hurt in my consciousness. I look at it and I say, oh my goodness, this person is angry. I see anger. Oh, that means I have anger in my consciousness. I look at it and I say, oh, I feel so sorry for someone because they're having an experience, and then someone made a joke about it. Ah, I see perhaps what I'm seeing has nothing to do with Jada, Will, or Chris. Whatever we're seeing as we look at anything in the third dimensional reality is coming from inside our own mind. Our perception is made in the mind. This is the genesis of perception. We make it up in our minds and then we see it in front of us. Therefore, you can use whatever you're seeing in front of you and what you're calling it as a means to reverse engineer what's in my mind, deep in my unconscious, that I may be unaware of. Let's go further. I see people shouldn't act like that. They have a responsibility. Perhaps that's judgment. Or, oh my God, this person is totally out of control. I'm totally out of control. After doing it, oh, wow, he feels so guilty for doing that. I have guilt in my consciousness. Do not look at the characters in the movie. As we know, the third dimension is a drama. It's a matrix. It's Maya, as Don Miguel Ruiz shared in the book, 4 Agreements and Mastery of Love. It's a Toltec wisdom book, and the Toltecs call it Maya. It's a dream world. It's a world of illusions, the third dimension, where very few things are as they seem. And what we have the opportunity to do here is look beyond the illusions. What's on the surface? That's that bottom level we're talking about, where most people would just swirl around. They did this, and she said that, and he said that, and why did they do that, and why did he do that, and he shouldn't have done that, and he shouldn't have done that, and she said this, and oh, that's terrible. And most people will swirl around in those waters. And what I'm offering in this conversation is that we elevate our consciousness by once again understanding as a spiritual being that there is no separation between me and any other in this whole great big universe. Therefore, if I know that there is no such thing as separation, I am Will Smith, I am Chris Rock, I am Jada Pinkett Smith. This morning in the discussion about it with our family, and of course in Miracles that we have every day on this channel at 7 a.m. Eastern Time live. Join us. We're on 4 platforms, and they'll link all below. In our discussion that we had this morning about how can we use this to grow, everybody's got an opinion about it. We're going to go above opinions, because your opinions, the universe doesn't care about my opinions at all. We're going to go above that, and we're going to go to universal law, the 7 laws given to us from ancient Kemet. And we're going to go to the principles of oneness and wholeness in this universe. The principle of oneness is I am one with all. I'm one with the tree, with the oak, with the leaf, with the blade of grass, with Will, with Chris, with Jada. I am one with the Oscars. We are one with all, with the all. There is no other. Now that's the truth in this infinite reality. Regardless of the separation that appears, it's an appearance on the third dimension. So if I know that I am the other, what, as Christ said, do unto others as you would have them doing to you? What would I desire for someone, myself, to do if myself was having an experience that is any experience other than peace, bliss, and the divinity and wholeness of my being? Well, I would want myself to be compassionate and non-judgmental. Judgments block love. They're blocks, they're blocks, they're blocks. So the second I go into judgment, that's wrong, they shouldn't have done it, he shouldn't have done it, what's gonna, you see, we're in that swirling around in the swamp of consciousness down here, and we are not getting the ascension, the elevation, the transformation. So when I look at it, I say, oh, I began to have realizations come to me, and here was one of the realizations that I had. I don't condone violence in any way, and I never considered myself to be a violent person. After last night, I became aware of the depth of the violence that I have carried in my being. Why? Because as I was going to sleep last night, as I was in meditation, reflection, contemplation of how does this show up in my world? How is this a reflection of my own consciousness? This is before me. What does it mean for me, Spirit? And we go to higher mind. And in that, this is what came to me. I heard a voice that said, well, you've beat your children, you slapped your children. Now I have 3 children, they're all grown. The baby is gonna be 21. And when I had my first 2 children, I was in my 20s. And indeed, I slapped my children. I would spank them. I would beat them. That is violence. And I became aware last night of the requirement, the need for forgiveness of myself and of my own parenting as I was just dishing out the violence I received. I received slaps, beatings. Why? Because my mother received slaps, beatings. Now, my father, he never spanked us at all. He talked to us from the Bible. They had very different parenting styles, and both of them worked for us. Well, once I got to see how painful spankings are and beatings are, being hit with rulers and things like that, I decided, let me not step out of line with Mom, because this is too much pain. What's the point? And so, as I reflected on myself, and I reflected, have I been violent in my life? Yes. Have I responded violently to provocation? Yes. Have I spoken out of turn? Yes. Have I slapped myself within my mind? Yes. Have I slapped other people with my words? Yes. And sometimes I wanted to do it. I meant to do it. I knew that I was going to say something that was going to get a rise out of them. I've done it all. And so therefore I can see myself as Chris Rock. My mama used to slap my mouth a couple of times when I was a kid. Because I would say something and she would be like, pow! Don't say that. Oh, okay. And I also see myself as well because I have been violent as a response or a retort to a trigger. Or my pressure was so high. Or my wound was so sensitive that when someone came along and poured salt on it, before I had the opportunity to pause, breathe, go then. And I've been Jada. I've had experiences that maybe I didn't want to be public yet. I know that I have a public life, and so I shared it with people. I've been vulnerable, and I've shared with people my journey. Judge not, lest ye yourself be judged. Forgive it all and be in peace. I love you. Reverend Valerie Love, ValerieLove.com. Kaisia, peace.